Hi guys, this is kind of a summary of our DC meeting that we had with Mike, Amby, and Vicky this past Tuesday. Upcoming things and just kind of what's going on around campus. This year's campus improvement process is going to be done by department, and it's not just going to be the EOC, it's also going to include the AP areas for each content, each department as well. So just know that that's coming up and they're going to cover your class or they're going to make sure that everybody can meet together when those meetings occur. I'm going to be sending out the dyslexia PowerPoint. I'm not going to read it to you. I expect you to be responsible professionals and read through that dyslexia PowerPoint and make sure that you are following the law and doing what is expected of you in regards to dyslexia. Once you've watched it and read through it, you need to come and sign the sheet that I will have. I'll have it at our lunch next Wednesday. Next Wednesday is our first birthday lunch, and I'll have it in my room then. I have to have that done by October 2nd. Next week is kind of a busy week. Next week on the 13th is going to be goal setting. That is going to be during your conference period. Um, you will be meeting, they will be talking about expectations for CF tests and your goal setting for this year. You don't have to make a decision that day, but they're going to give you the information that you need to be able to make that decision before the end of this grading period. So that's when you have to update it in the CF test program for this year's goal. You're focusing on what will you do to improve students' growth this year. So you can be thinking about that before the 13th. Also next week, open house is on Tuesday, September 11th from 6 to 7:30. Um, they're going to send out a minimum PowerPoint that everyone should have at least this information scrolling on their screen in their classroom. You can certainly add to that, but they'll kind of send out a minimum PowerPoint like they've done in the past. It's also going to be a come and see. They're not going to follow their kids' schedule. They're going to go as they please to their kids' schedule. There won't be any bells or anything like that. The expectation prior to open house is that everybody has a working website. So if your website is not working, you need to go see Barbara Johnson and you need to make sure that you have it linked and up and running. So if I were to go to the Side Creek website, I can go to faculty, I can find your name, I can click on it, and I can actually get to your website and it has updated information. This year's ALC process is going to be somewhat similar to last year. If you have AP or K kids or DC kids that are at ALC, they're going to be using Google Classroom to communicate with the students. But if you are sending work, you're going to have a group email. There'll be information that comes, but that group email will include Mike and Amby. It'll include Sam from over at ALC, as well as Susan and Stephanie here on our campus, just kind of as a CYA because we know we're sending stuff, but they're not always getting it, or vice versa. So if you get a kid in ALC, just make sure that you are doing what you need to do to get them the work that they need. In regards to master scheduling, they are aware that all classes are still not leveled. They are working on it. Right now, the number one priority is having students in classes that they need to be in, because if they're not in the right course by that 15th day, then they won't get credit for the course that they take this year. So that is number one priority, and leveling is number two priority. And so they're still working on it. If you have something that you have not spoken with me about, please let me know so that I can address it specifically, and have them have that kind of on their watch list. Later in the month, on September 25th, is when they're going to kick off our mentoring program for this year. They're going to do it a little bit different. They're going to offer some PD hours for mentoring, and some training for mentoring. They're also going to kind of divide it up by grade level. So you could look for kids that maybe you had. They're also going to divide it by like kids who have failed multiple things. They're like closer to graduating, but still have a past English one, to kind of help guide you and get you the information that you need so that you get the mentor that you want. We have about 178 kids that need mentoring, so please consider attending on the 25th and being a mentor this year. This year's sub process, same as last year, you have to get it in ASAP. This year, Shonda is not going to put it in ASAP for you. You have to do it. Guys, if you go on school business, if you do a pull-out day, you have to fill out the form so that they have documentation and they know that you're going to be out. But you this year have to go in and put in for your sub and check that you're going to be on school business. So that's a little bit different from in the past. So just make sure that you're getting your subs put in when you need subs. Also, if you're going to be out an extended amount of time, and like more than 3 days, you have to use a combination of sick days and personal days. The district will only allow you to use three of one kind at a time. So let's say you're going to be gone 5 days, three from one week and two from another week. Use like three personal and two sick days, or vice versa, so that you can get so that the system will let you be approved for all of it. Try to request a sub if you know ahead of time so that you make sure you have a good, reliable sub that's going to show up. I really, 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 guys, want us to try and be as considerate as possible. I know emergencies happen, but I really hate putting a burden on the biology department and others who are off at different times, because we're the ones that have to pick up the slack. If someone from science is gone, science is who gets left covering it. So just keep that in mind, and do your best you can to put it in as early as possible. Final thoughts. Things seem to be going good, so please stay the course. Don't start letting up. Continue doing your hall sweeps. Walk those kids to class. Don't just tell them to get to class. Don't just, kind of shoo them along or whatever. Walk them to class, knock on that door, get them in the room. Make sure that the kids are wearing their IDs when they enter your room. I know in chemistry we have them take them off sometimes for Bunsen burners. Do the best that you can to remind them to put them back on so they don't get in trouble when they go to their next class. Also remind those kids, because they don't realize, I don't think, every time they have to get another ID, it's $5. And that's racking up on their fees and fines, and it's going to mess with them for exemptions. So really, really encourage them to be responsible and keep up with those IDs. Continue standing at your doors when in between passing periods. When that like warning bell rings, start encouraging the kids that are still lingering. Guys, the warning bell rang, walk and talk, let's go, let's get to class, and just kind of continue to try and move them along. Make sure that, oh, I was supposed to say this before our fire drill today. Just make sure you've got everything that you need in your safety folder, your rosters, and that you're ready. And if you have any questions, ask your fire captain to get clarification on that. Next week, after school tutorials start, you have to get orange passes. You can get them from, I think, Marianne. If you don't have any of the orange after school passes, they will not be allowed a bus ticket if they don't have one of those orange passes. For open house, sorry, this was a follow-up thought that they added in the notes. If you are a floating teacher, you're going to be an LGI, and you need to let your students know that next week. Remind them on the 11th, like where you're going to be, and they're supposed to come out with like a map to kind of give you more information on that. But that way your kids know where to find you, and you don't have like two teachers in a room and things like that. And I think that's it. Oh, testing training. There's testing coming up. Mary Beth is not doing 19 different trainings. So if you are supposed to go to training, you need to go to training. And Vicky said, if you don't, then that'll be documented and given to your appraiser. So if something happens and you can't make it, you better be communicating. Don't show up and say you forgot, because it's something that we have to do, and they don't have time to just keep rescheduling and rescheduling. I really hated ending on that negative thing. So, positive note, we get to have lunch next week together. So I hope y'all have a great rest of the week and enjoy your weekend. And I'll send out information about our lunch. And I look forward to seeing everybody next Wednesday, and that's it. Bye.